biggest difference it's made to my life is that it's given me an opportunity to share information and ideas. From the very beginning, as a user of the web, I just didn't want to be a consumer, I wanted to be a producer as well. So the web's given me a wonderful opportunity to communicate with a lot of people about a lot of subjects. And I guess what the web has done for society as a whole is the flip side of that. It's given people access to an incredible amount of information, ideas, services, and really broadened people's horizons in a way that technologically just wouldn't have been imaginable before the web. I'm massively enthusiastic about the internet. I think it's overwhelmingly a power for good. But I've always been conscious that there are dangers. I was chair of the Internet Watch Foundation for 6 years, which combats child abuse images online. That's amongst the very worst things we have on the internet. But there's a whole range of material which is maybe not strictly illegal, but is potentially harmful and is certainly offensive, that we haven't really come to terms with, and I think we have to think that through quite carefully. Perhaps the biggest social issue about the internet is how we balance these conflicting demands for identity and privacy. We need identity so that we can conduct e-commerce and bill people correctly and target advertising and information to them. But we also need privacy so that if people don't want to share information with everybody, they can limit that. If they want to blog or tweet anonymously because they're protesting about an authoritarian regime or whatever, we would like to be able to enable that without them being at risk of imprisonment or worse. And I think that balance between identity and anonymity is a really difficult one, because the same people want to be identified and want to be anonymous, but in different circumstances. And the internet hasn't quite come to terms with how we balance those conflicting demands. There's so much more to happen. We talk, I think, quite casually as if everybody in the UK is on the net and is doing everything on it. In fact, something like 1/5 of all homes in the UK are still not on the internet, and without some serious political interventions, that number will not come down considerably in the short term. So I think for the future, we want more people on the internet. We want eventually everybody to be on the internet, and we want people to be more confident and empowered about using the full range of services which are available on the internet. When it comes to debating the internet in a political context, I think we have appalling ignorance. MPs don't really understand how the internet's being used and where it's going. They're a bit frightened about it, I think, to some extent. When it comes to the internet, the debates are very ill-informed, and Parliament has tended to pull back and assume that the internet can kind of run itself. And maybe that sort of laissez-faire attitude might have been tolerable 10 or 15 years ago, when the internet was a very new medium and the number of users was relatively small and the conventions were relatively well understood. But the internet now is not just a mass medium, it is the mass medium, it is the most used medium, plus it's converging with other media. So we're having a debate about the future of broadcasting, but the internet and broadcasting are coming together. And so I think the government has got to try and take a holistic view and say, if these technologies are driving together these different media, can we hold back in the way we have, or do we have to take part in a debate and stimulate a debate? To be honest, I think that there's a kind of blindness about the internet. We've been hoping that it will all kind of run itself. And I'm a great believer in self-regulation, but self-regulation has to take place in a context. And as we've seen with the newspaper industry, self-regulation can fall apart if it doesn't have some kind of underpinning, perhaps a statutory underpinning. Looking to the future, I'm overwhelmingly positive about how we're going to use the internet. That the key is not to overreact to short-term issues. The key is to have a partnership approach where all the interests talk together in an open and candid way, and the key is pragmatic solutions rather than dramatic legislation.